There is so much to talk about today. Ben Dixon, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I am psyched. This is like an ACT.TV double team. And then with
There it is.
Jocelyn coming on later in the show, it's going to be a triple team. This is going to be
There it
great.
is.
So
Love
I'm
it.
really happy that you're here. I'm happy that your show is now on our streaming network, and I'm psyched.
I am excited to be here, Julianna. I've been a fan of your work for some time, and I'm most stoked, to be honest, to work with you and some of the coverage that you've been bringing all these years.
Thank you so much. I feel exactly the same way, and I'm sure our audience feels the same way as well. So let's get to it. First headline, the negotiations on Build Back Better are not going well for people who want paid family leave. Talk about your thoughts on what's going on here.
You know, it's really disappointing. We see that this package has dwindled down to nothing. They went from 12 weeks of paid leave to 4 weeks, and now no leave. We're one of two developed nations on the face of the planet that does not offer paid leave for parents and employees. And here we are with the opportunity, with the House, the Senate, and the White House. Of course, we know the Republicans are standing in the way, but we have our own problems on our side of the equation. Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin have done the people no favors. In fact, they are two of the largest impediments to progress right now, and they're Democrats.
You know, there's the other two things, right? No 2-year free community college that got cut. No clean energy performance program. No tax rate hikes on the rich or corporations, and no guaranteed paid leave, which we just talked about. Those are the main things that got cut. I thought it was interesting. One of the things they left in the bill is the, they're going to be funding for pre-K and funding for childcare when they're little. And it made me think a little bit about what the priorities are. The things that got cut are all basically corporate giveaways. They're things that corporations aren't going to like. Like, hey, why does anyone have to go to community college? They could just go start delivering boxes for Amazon.
Right.
We don't have to give them something free, but we do need to get those moms back into, the Whole Foods warehouse or whatever it is. Right. So we can give them childcare. That's okay.
Yeah, no, you hit that spot on. They're desperate to get the people out working, and so they will provide childcare for that, which is something. Then that's fine. You know, let's do that, because most Americans do want to work. Most Americans want a career, and they want to be able to build something, right? But it shows you their priorities. Their priorities are not to family units. You think about Republicans talking about being so pro-life. One of the best things that you could do for life is to make sure that parents can spend time with their new children. Holistically, all the way around this you're exactly right, Juliana. We see the priorities are cutting through very clearly. The priorities that are coming through right now are for corporations and not the people.
I heard you say on your show this morning that the Dems are just feigning powerlessness, and they're hiding behind these two, I guess whatever you want to call them. I can't think of a nice word. Yes, thank you. That's
the best word I can come up with that's acceptable for ACT.TV. No.
A TV audience. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Very good.
It is frustrating.
But can't the Dems be doing? Can't they get a little more Francis Underwood from House of Cards? Like, can't they go to the districts and start, pounding away at why this guy's got to go? Can't they be doing a little bit more to push him instead of just calling him and saying, hey, why don't you side with us instead of your corporation sponsors? Right. It's disingenuous of the other ones, because they can all stand back and be like, oh, I would do the right thing. But Sinema and Manchin, they're blocking me from doing the right thing. But I'm an angel, which we know that that's not the case in most of the corporate Dems, or most of the Dems in general on different issues, wherever you stand.
No, that's exactly right. And it is frustrating because, don't get me wrong, the Republicans need to be pilloried. Manchin and Sinema need to be called on the carpet. But you're right. Why is it so? I went to Joe Manchin's timeline on Facebook, and he's just having the wonderful time on his social media timeline. I mean, if you're not going to call them out from the White House, and you're not going to call them out on the Senate floor, you're not going to call them out on the news, then my God, why are you sitting there? You're letting them have a good time. Like, it's almost like Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin are able to skate right through having the time of their lives, withholding critical things from the American people. And if we don't get something done, then at least we should be giving them political hell every step of the way. And I don't see either side of that equation happening.
Exactly. Senator Manchin takes $4 million from Exxon and from the fossil fuel industry. I mean, and then they're cutting, we expected them to cut some of the environmental protection parts, the No Clean Energy Performance Program. Do you know exactly what that's going to cut out? I know there are some things that were left in, like electric vehicle infrastructure and environmental remediation, like putting caps on leaking oil wells and things like that. Do you know what's gone under that cut? Under the Clean Energy Performance Program?
Unfortunately, I don't have the details on that one, but yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on it as well.
We're having some people on next week. They can give us the total cut. So there are some stuff that stayed in there, like the expanded home care for seniors. And by the way, and people with disabilities, by the way, this isn't passed. This is they just cut this.
That's right.
How do we know we're not going to wake up tomorrow and these things aren't going to be cut?
That's right, because that's where we are now, right? We've gone down. I think the new proposal that's being spread all across social media is like a $1.95 trillion package. I mean, that's a long way from where we started. And to be quite honest with you, by the time this is done, we very well could just simply be giving handouts to corporations again.
Oh, yes. Yes. I noticed all the billionaires were out there very, very upset about potentially being taxed above what they believed was just. Biden's plan was going to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think they believe that no taxes are just for them and all the taxes for us is just. So, yeah, but no, Elon Musk, all of them are out there making their rounds trying to oppose this.
Yeah, because they don't like anything that doesn't have a loophole. They don't care how much you actually tax them because they get out of it. But in this proposal, his plan as it stands now, if it doesn't get axed up on this, establishes a minimum 15% tax on corporations reporting profits. This is for corporations, not people. But anyway, a 15% minimum tax on corporations that report profits of over $1 billion. That's going to obviously impact the tech industry, Amazon, Netflix. But they've paid below 15% effective rate in recent years. Right. Some of them paid next to zero. And I think the thing that's cool with this is that it goes hand in hand with how the administration reached an agreement with 136 other countries for a 15% global minimum tax, meaning you're going to pay that tax here or you're going to pay that tax in Ireland. You might as well not leave because that's going to cost you money. So just pay the freaking taxes. That at least, your thoughts about this?
We got to realize that there is a game afoot, right? And it's almost like these news cycles have a rinse and repeat function cycle on them, where at the beginning of each 4 years, we forget that billionaires are going to literally do everything they possibly can to take everything they can from us and give us nothing in return. When I say us, I don't mean us as individuals. I mean this American community, this American body politic from which they derive all of their wealth. They have been able to skate across the globe. They've been doing this dodging of their responsibility for decades, hell, for centuries, Juliana. And so my thoughts on it is, we know the game. We know what they're doing. We know where their money is kept. We know why they're doing it. And we know the mechanisms through which they're doing it. The fact that we allow them to get away with this and we're still having this argument means to me that the people in charge are complicit, because they're not foolish. They're not dumb. They have the best researchers.
Do you think if they actually pound in this 15% minimum tax on corporations and the 5% surtax on the rich above 10 million in income, do you think if they actually pound, do you think that will actually get through? Do you think it will make a difference even if it does? I mean, what you said is so valid. They've been doing this for years. They know how to hide. Nobody really cares except for us who are out in the street. Do you think it will make a difference at all?
If they want to get the money from the billionaires, they can, because they get money from me every month.
Right. In 100 different ways, in fact.
Exactly.
Not
just on the front end of the check, but at the end of the month paying them. They know how to get this money, Juliana.
Yes. Well, I hope they get it at least this way. This is seems like a trickle, a drop in the bucket, but we really need that drop right now for the American people. Let's move on to our second story. This is kind of exciting. A fledgling union of employees at those Amazon warehouses, there's 4 of them on Staten Island, they basically on Monday demonstrated they had enough worker interest to hold an election to form a union. That's the first thing they have to do. They're forming their own union. They're not joining up with another union, which is what the people of Bessemer, the workers in Bessemer were trying to do in order to unionize for some better working conditions for the folks in Amazon warehouses. The National Labor Relations Board said that they could move ahead with their vote, and that's who determines, that determination lays basically the groundwork for what would be a second unionization vote at Amazon warehouses in less than a year. Your thoughts on this unionization effort?
I am excited about it, and I just want to, send love and solidarity to all of the Amazon workers. Shout out to the Bamazonians. You mentioned Bessemer. They didn't get it the first time around, and then also big shout out to Christian Smalls. He's one of the lead organizers on this. He's been on the front line on this, lost his job because of this. Amazon came after him because of this, but he did not stop. And he, along with all the other organizers who have been working diligently on this, I'm super proud of them. And I hope that we can jam this through and give them all the support we possibly can.
Yeah, Chris Smalls, he just, he wanted people to have protective gear and hazard pay for working in a warehouse and risking their lives at the start of COVID-19 pandemic so that the rest of us could get our toilet paper delivered without having to leave the comfort and privacy of our 2-bedroom apartments or whatever we had.
That's right.
He's a hero. I think it's great.
Yeah.
And I do think that the Bessemer action, although it did not result in the unionization of the workers, they got into, we covered it, people covered it, I think you covered it, they got into the media with this, and people started thinking, Amazon joining a union. So that I think, what they did really helped, and hopefully there'll be some ramifications for those actual workers in that warehouse.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's important. Thank you for pointing that out, because we're covering it. Yeah. We were all upset with what happened in Bessemer, but I don't think you see what's happening at Amazon now unless they did that first step at Bessemer. So solidarity with all of them.
Absolutely. I think it's exciting that they're making an Amazon workers union. It's a completely new union, because a lot of the things that Amazon was saying to undercut workers who were on the fence about it was, hey, this union just wants your money. This other union that you're going to pay to represent you wants your dues. And that's what it's all about. They're corrupt, blah, blah, blah. But that argument doesn't stand now that they're just building their own. So I think that's pretty great.
No, it's brilliant. It is it's like dogged determination. It's like, if you close one door, we're going to go knock on 4 more. So here we are.
That's great. We're going to keep covering it. You're going to keep covering it. I'm psyched to have been able to talk to you about it. This last story, I appreciate you bearing with me on this. This is something that caught my eye, and this is kind of just for fun. Happy Halloween. Have you seen these? There's that Halloween Scrooges. There are people putting up signs. I think we have an image of one. We'll put it up in a second. People putting up signs saying things like Satanist, socialist, trick-or-treaters, go home and find Jesus. You're not going to get any free candy here. My mind is blown. They forget, the people who put up these signs forget that the other half of the trick-or-treater family is home giving out candy.
That's right.
It's a candy trade, for Christ's sake. Oh
they have to have something to make us afraid of. This is the prelude to the war on Christmas. And so this is all, these are all, oh, wow. I hadn't seen the full note.
Did you see this? Look, it says
Socialists.
Satanic Socialists. Yes.
The funny thing about this is that, honestly, just kind of setting aside all the spiritual and all the Halloween implications, the funny thing is if they think socialists are satanic, they really have not even read their own Bible. Because it's not like the Bible says the hatred of money is the root of all evil. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. So if anybody's satanic, it's capitalist. But I digress.
Hello. Well, I think that I'm going to have to give you that is the perfect last word on this. Thank you so much, Ben. I really appreciate you coming on the program today. I'm sure everyone who watches this show already watches the Ben Dixon show, but it's right here on act.tv. You can get the clips on the YouTube. You can watch us on Apple TV. You can watch Ben on Apple TV, and just Google the Ben Dixon show and it comes up all over. There's Twitter, there's everything.
Please have me back. I'd be excited to be back anytime, and we'd love to have you over there.
I would love to, and I would love to be back. And this is a start of something beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Take care. Thank you for having me.